Hi, how are you?
I'm good. All is well.
We have lots of people over here to talk to you. Guys, this is Pooja Gupta, and today I would be your host for this session of ours. And I would like to welcome you all in this session of ours called Ask Henry Expert session, presented by Henry Harvin. And thank you so much for joining us. So today's theme of this session of ours is SAP, and the topic is busting myths, best practices, and getting a job. So first of all, I would like to introduce you with Henry Harvin. So we are, one of the top 100 education brands that offers trainings and certification courses with 20 plus academies, having 300,000 plus alumni, and we are alliancing with the 180 plus corporates and 110 plus colleges year on year basis. And that is why we wanted to, fill this gap between the industry experts and between our students so that they can get the answers of their questions directly from the desk experts. And that's why we started this Ask Henry. And going further, we have today Mr. Wouter, who have more than 20 years of experience in SAP, working with almost more than 15 plus countries. And in his portfolio, he have 30 plus working experience with esteemed organizations. So thank you so much, Wouter, for being with us and taking out your time from your busy schedule.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Cool. So I would like to start with your pearls of wisdom first. So over to you.
Yeah, namaste. Mera naam Wouter. Aapse milkar bahut khushi hui.
Oh, great.
That's me introducing myself in Hindi.
Thank you. That's great. Dhanyavad.
Yeah. So I'm working for Capgemini in the Netherlands as a SAP S/4HANA finance consultant, and I've been doing SAP for 23 years now. I also worked for Wipro for 4 years, and I've also worked as a freelancer. And my focus is S/4HANA finance.
Yes. Nice. Awesome. So guys, let's get started. So this whole session is divided into 4 sections. So number 1 section is called as myth busting. The second section is called as best practices. The third section is section is called as getting a job, and fourth is called as SAP product. At the end of the session, we would be taking your questions also. We encourage you to use the Q&A portal of the of the Zoom, so that we can take your questions in the end. And the questions which we gonna ask now also are from our students. So we took this question from via a survey we conducted recently. All right, so let's start with our first segment called as myth busting. And Wouter, number 1 question which most of the professionals have is that SAP products are not user friendly, especially for cloud solutions. So what's your take on this?
Well, the old SAP GUI was like a gray screen with only gray buttons, and it was very boring, and you had to use a laptop or desktop. But about 5 years ago, SAP launched the SAP Fiori. So the SAP Fiori is much more user friendly,
Okay.
and you can just do SAP Fiori on your iPhone.
Nice.
And the new apps are much more user friendly than before. So and they all also work on any device like a tablet or a phone or a laptop. And companies don't also really buy SAP because of the user friendliness, but because it's like the chosen system by the world's largest corporations.
Okay.
So it's very easy to create like a prettier program with nice colors or buttons and
Mm-hmm.
But SAP is really the software used by the biggest companies on earth.
Okay.
So it's not just about being user friendly, but also being like the chosen solution, like the most popular one.
All right. And that's where the second myth came. So most of the people think that SAP is used by only the big enterprises, not by small, medium enterprises like SMEs. So what's your say about this?
Well, that's also changed. So it is true that in the past, SAP was originally designed for the biggest companies,
Mm-hmm.
for example, for shipbuilding companies or car companies. But now with the S/4HANA Cloud solution, you can also be a small company and just use the public cloud solution.
Okay.
So there's like this famous example of a pizza company. They just make pizzas, and then they buy S/4HANA Cloud, and it's already pre-installed, so it doesn't cost millions of dollars to install. So it is true that in the past, SAP was more for these really big companies like
Okay.
Nestle or Unilever, Mars.
Mm-hmm.
But now you can just buy a subscription on the public cloud, and then you don't need to install everything yourself.
All right. Okay. So that means the scope, like SAP is trying to getting into SME sectors too, and that's where the jobs will be increasing into this domain. Am I right?
Yes, yes. I mean, SAP Cloud can be much cheaper than these big on-premise solutions.
Okay. All right. So now I have a question on myself. So do you prefer people having more knowledge on SAP cloud solutions than comparatively to the other ones, like the modules?
Well, I have this one friend that works for SAP, and he says that there's no point at all in learning anything anymore about on-premise. That
Mm-hmm.
kind of on-premise is dead, and it's no longer doesn't have a future anymore.
Oh,
But on
okay.
the other hand, I'm currently working on an S/4HANA on-premise project, and my last 7 S/4HANA projects were also on-premise.
Okay.
But SAP would prefer that everyone will move to the cloud with this program called
Mm-hmm.
Rise to the Cloud.
Okay.
So if it's up to SAP, then all the on-premise will move to the cloud.
Oh,
But
that's
me, well, for example, my brother, he is certified in S/4HANA Cloud,
uh-huh.
and I'm certified in the on-premise one.
Okay.
But I do think in the future it's going to be more and more cloud. But in the reality, I'm working on premise right now. So
Okay. So that means future is on cloud.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, SAP really wants all the companies to move to the cloud,
Okay.
but there's still a lot of work in the on-premise.
Okay. Yeah, must be. All right. So, yep. And thank you so much for answering those two myths. The third and the last one is that SAP is not a good career transform option, pardon me. And especially if you come from a non-tech background. So let me give you more, reference to this. So what happens generally, people start their career with, let's say, sales, marketing, or such type of domains. Later on, after 3 to 4 years, they want to try, change their career path, like from sales marketing, they want to do something maybe in technical or SAP related products. So, when they want the guidance from our consultants, they ask this question, like whether it would be great option for them or they should drop it. Like they want to go into this domain, but they are not very sure that after getting this certification done or training done, they would be able to get a job. So, and they would be able to sink in the information too. So, what's your thought about this?
Well, for example, me, I studied business administration and finance.
Mm-hmm.
So finance and accounting, corporate finance, and then I became an SAP consultant. But I became a functional consultant.
Okay.
So I have to talk to the business, the finance accountants, and get their requirements, and then transform that into functional specs. So that's a functional job. There's another kind of SAP consultant, which is called a technical SAP consultant. That's where you program in ABAP, or you program UI5 or S/4HANA ABAP. Or you can be a technical basis consultant. So for that, you really need to know technical things. If you want to become a real hardcore ABAP programmer or Fiori, then you do really need to be technical. But me, for example, I'm a finance person. I studied finance, so I became a functional finance consultant. And you can also become a functional procurement consultant or a functional sales consultant. So SD or MM or S/4HANA procurement or S/4HANA sales. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So these are modules for the non-tech people who don't have much tech-related domains, right?
Or HR.
Okay, HR.
HR, yeah. So there's also a high demand for functional consultants. I think many years ago, the Indian offshore people started by being the programmers.
Yes.
But more and more, they're becoming also the functional and also the project manager and also the boss of companies,
Okay. So that means managers should know the functional thing of SAP. Can we conclude this or not? Like the people at higher positions.
Yeah, if you want to be, well, yeah. Well, if you studied like finance or marketing or sales, then you can still become an SAP consultant.
Okay.
A functional one. And often the people who are engineers, they like to prefer to become a programmer. But if you really want to be like a real guru that is very hard to find, then probably you have to be more technical.
Okay, cool. And what about these modules like GRC, security? I saw that the demand is increasing towards these domains also for SAP. And so what do you think? People can go into this domain also from non-tech background, or they should not?
Yeah, you can. You can learn SAP Security because it's more or less, it doesn't require programming.
Okay.
And there's a high demand for SAP Security. I mean, like, for example, today I'm testing this treasury solution, and it's all about the roles and the segregation of duty. Like, for example, that the person who creates the invoice cannot be the person who starts the payment run, because you cannot put your own bank account in the like segregation of duty.
Yes. Okay.
But there's a lot of demand for SAP security jobs. A lot of people don't want to be the SAP security guy.
Okay.
But there's nothing really wrong with it. I mean, but that does create a demand. Just like finance, a lot of people don't want to be accountants.
Oh, yeah.
People would prefer to be the marketing or advertising or to be the manager. But there's always work in the things that other people don't want to do. So, for example, finance and accounting is not that cool. Well, it's not like accounting. Wow, accounting is fun, but there's a lot of work in it, and then you can earn a lot of money, and then you can have a lot of fun,
True.
like.
True. Agree.
But authorizations, there's the demand, because every system needs to have authorizations.
Okay.
And every system needs to have finance. So
yes,
there's always finance, and there's always authorizations.
All right. Okay. So here I have one more question with this conversation. So you mentioned, like, you need to find out those cases where the person who is creating the invoice cannot be the person who is paying for it. So who is the person who checks for these events? Is it is it possible that somebody else who don't have SAP knowledge can build these models and test cases, or the SAP person themselves create this model? Like, who is the responsible person, or it depends organization to organization?
Can you repeat the question?
So yes, so the question is, for example, while building the models, like you just mentioned regarding that test case where or use case where a person who is generating the invoice cannot be the person who is paying, right? So both of the bank accounts cannot be the same. Who creates those test cases or use cases or models? Is it the person who is like functional consultant of SAP? Is it the tech person who is building that technically, or like the developers? Or is it somebody else like the product owners or project managers who checks for these?
Yeah, so in my case, the functional consultant creates the test scripts,
Okay.
and they have to tell the authorization consultant
Mm-hmm.
which roles need to be assigned to which users.
Okay. All right.
So the changing of the roles is done by the authorization consultants, and then deciding who should get what roles, that's the business together with the functional people. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that is with functional. Awesome. Okay. Cool. So yeah, all my questions get answered. So thank you so much, Wouter, for the for all these answers, for busting our myths. And with this, we are going towards our second segment that's called best practices. So, Wouter, most of people, reach out to us to ask you, what are the three best practices you would like to share with the newcomers or professionals, which they overlook generally while using the SAP?
Well, I think what's very important is that you keep keep upgrading your skills and that you keep learning new things. Always do the latest courses.
Okay.
For example, there used to be this technology called SAP Script to make forms,
Mm-hmm.
but then it moved to something called Smart Forms. Then it moved to something called Adobe Script. So
Okay.
all the time you have to upgrade your skills and learn new skills. And yeah, another thing that I would highly encourage is to share your knowledge. For example, you can go to blogs.sap.com or on LinkedIn, and that you share your knowledge and that you write blogs or you create videos about SAP, that you
Mm-hmm.
build your SAP network. So in case you don't know something, you can ask your friends. But if you help people first by solving problems for them, then they'll probably help you back when you need their help, right?
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
to build your network of SAP friends, kind of.
Yeah, give and take relationship kind of thing.
Yeah, and you find, and it's good to specialize in something. So, for example, I've been specialized in finance for 23 years,
Mm-hmm.
and there's still work in that. And also, when you go for a job interview, that you're very clear about what kind of SAP consultant you are. So, if somebody asks you, so what kind of SAP consultant are you? And then you say, well, I know a little bit of MM and I know a little bit of SD and I know some ABAP, then people will not take you seriously. You have to say like, yeah, I'm focused on finance or I'm focused on, um,
Let's XYZ.
yeah, it's like very good to be specialized.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. All right. Thank you so much. And the next best practice which people want from you is like which sorry. Okay. So it is where they should start their journey, and what they should follow, what best practices they should follow to get placed into a particular SAP domain. Although you have mentioned it in the previous one, is there any other specific best practices also towards this question?
Yeah, well, you can focus on a particular learning journey. So, for example, if you go to help.sap.com, then you click on learning journeys,
Mm-hmm.
and then you type, for example, S for HANA Finance, you'll find 6 learning journeys. So in the finance domain, you have, for example, central finance, then you have financial accounting, management accounting, um, real estate accounting, asset accounting. so that you focus on one particular learning journey, and then you take all the courses in that area.
Okay. All right. So that means learning should continue. You should not never stop learning. That's what.
Yeah, me even what I did, like I was a ECC consultant, R3 ECC. And then 5 years ago, I spent 6 days at SAP Education, the Netherlands, to upskill myself. It's called upskilling.
Yeah.
To S/4HANA. So I did 3 courses: S4 F01, which is finance; S4 F02, which is controlling; and S4 F03, which is conversion to S/4HANA. And I also think that there's going to be a lot of work in conversion to S/4HANA.
Okay.
That's a very good area to focus on right now: conversion to S/4HANA, from ECC to S/4HANA.
So okay, so that means industries are moving from ECC to HANA, is like most of
Yeah,
them?
all the clients have to move to S/4HANA, or in the future you can no longer use the old one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So for sure there's going to be a lot of work, because all these companies need to move to S/4HANA.
That's huge information.
Yeah, so
one is cloud and another one is this S/4HANA. It's literally a huge information to digest. That we would be, there would be more jobs in these domains then.
Yeah, right now SAP is really booming. Yeah, like a lot of demand for SAP right now, for S/4HANA especially.
Okay. S/4HANA cloud solution, we may say, or S/4HANA MMS.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah.
Okay.
So you have S/4HANA on-premise, and then you have S/4HANA cloud. And for both of those solutions, there's right now a lot of demand, because a lot of the companies are moving from the old ECC to the new S/4HANA.
Okay. All right. That's great information. Thank you. So okay.
So you can do this course. You can do this course on all the settings you have to do to move to S/4HANA.
Oh, okay. Okay, so there is a specific course from moving ACC to HANA, right? Like
yeah. So for finance consultants, it's called S4 F03.
Okay.
Financial accounting conversion to S/4HANA. And then you have another course for basis consultants, how to move the database from the old Oracle database to the new HANA database.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. And you can get certified in that.
That's awesome. So what role the training provides in getting these SAP certification? Like, what's your thoughts about this process? Should one
Well,
go?
I think what's really important is that you don't just pass the certification, but that you actually learn the courses. Because it's one thing just having the certification, but then when you get sent to a client and they say, here's the ticket, go and solve it, then you actually need to know how to do it.
True.
So for example, there are companies which are selling like dumps on how to pass the finance exam for SAP. So what you could do is buy a dump and kind of cheat in a way, and then just study for 1 week and then pass the exam. But then you'll have the certification, but then you won't know how it actually works.
Yeah.
So if you really want to become a real consultant, then you have to do the courses and do the exercises and practice in a practice system. And so when I was 24, I did this thing called the SAP Academy. So for 4 weeks, 8 hours a day, I had SAP classes.
Okay.
In finance.
Okay, that's nice.
So don't just try to pass the exam, but you have to actually do the course.
Yeah, true. It's just true, exactly. Correct. So, and
Yeah.
here comes my next question. So, generally, what happens is, people wants to mention some kind of mock projects or let's say live projects in their resumes. So, where they can get those projects and get, like you also mentioned, that do the courses, do the exercises. Is there any way that people can find those projects, work upon those too, and implement whatever they have learned during a course or something? So
Well, in the beginning, uh, when you are a fresher, you kind of have to do an internship
mm-hmm.
or sell yourself very cheaply.
Yeah, okay.
So when I was 24, I just received a very normal kind of fresher salary.
Hmm.
And then this big company called CMG, they hired me
Okay.
and they trained me. But I think the most important thing is that you should never lie on your CV
Yeah,
because people can just take
yeah,
the text from your CV and put it into Google,
true,
and
true.
then they can find whether someone else has also used this same pretend
Okay.
project.
Yes,
So,
yes, yes, true.
but we all start with no experience, and there's no shame in starting with no experience. You just need to, well, the big companies, right? So, Capgemini, Accenture, Wipro, Tata Consultancy Services, HCL, um, Soft, they hire freshers. So basically, in the beginning, you have to start at a low salary and get the experience. But you could also do an internship, which is more or less kind of work for free, right?
Yeah, true,
Which,
true.
but it's like an investment, right?
Yes, I agree with this. And here, comes the a question from the fear of our most of these students. So when they are transforming their career, like changing their career domain from, let's say, marketing or sales, they are clueless, like whether they would be able to land themselves into the similar domain, like let's say SAP or not, because it's new to them and they are no more freshers, like already have 4 to 5 years of experience. Generally they don't want to do the internship too, like a work for free or freelancing, because as a freelancer also they won't be able to get the projects. So and when they when they apply for such jobs, then they cannot lie also, like they have done this or something. Like there would be a zero experience on their resumes. So do companies like which you have just mentioned, Capgemini or Soft, do these people considers those resumes too, or they don't?
Yeah, the really big companies, they hire the freshers
Okay.
and then they train you to become a junior consultant.
But
And well, you can also, for example, already do SAP courses and already be certified and already try to do some practice things in this test system so that you are ready to hit the ground running.
yeah,
And
okay.
then you've also shown like an effort that you want to become an SAP consultant. But at least in Europe, people do hire people with no experience and then train them to become SAP consultants. But what I've noticed that in India, they expect you to do the courses first and get certified yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
But in
True.
Europe, it's not like that.
Okay.
So, for example, if you join Capgemini in the Netherlands,
Hmm.
you will get a SAP Learning Hub subscription, and then they will allow you to train and they
Hmm.
will pay for your certification. But I've understood that many companies in India, they want you to already be certified when you join.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah, which is a bit strange. But, and there's also people who say that it's all about practical experience. So, what you can also do, what's one solution that you can do is to become a user in a company using SAP. So, for example, my first job was not SAP consultant. My first job was working in a finance department
Okay.
of a telecommunications company.
Okay.
So I studied finance, then I became a finance user of SAP, doing accounts payable, general ledger, accounts receivable, and then afterwards I became a consultant.
Oh, awesome.
So that's a different kind of route to become a consultant. So first, if you want to become a finance consultant, but nobody wants to hire you, you could first become an accounts payable person, and then maybe a general ledger person, and then that way you can move into SAP consulting.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's a great, path to have to land to your destination, literally, like if nobody is allowing you to. So awesome.
But we all started as freshers. When I was 24, I didn't know anything about SAP.
But that's what the problem lies in. Actually, most of the companies, want to have to be around 23 or 24, have some sort of experience, like 2 years, 3 years of experience in SAP, even if you are a college pass out, and then they hire you at a great salary. So actually, that's the reality. That's what we want to fill the gap in. So yeah. But that's the great journey path which you have just suggested. So yeah,
You have to really be willing to earn very little in the beginning.
Yes.
But I think it's like that in all jobs. So let's say you want to become, I don't know, if you want to become a hairdresser, first you have to be the one that washes the hair and cleans the hair off the floor. And then after 6 months, they'll say, well, now you can cut some people's hair. And it's like a ladder you have to climb.
Yeah, true.
And in the beginning, I didn't earn much money at all.
Okay.
But that's the investment you have to make. And I do see some people who are like 30 years old and then they want to become SAP consultant, but then they don't want to go back to being a junior. But that's hard.
Actually,
in the beginning, you earn less, and then you earn more and more and more. And if you are really good, you can become a freelancer. So at one point, I was earning 1.4 million INR after tax a month.
Okay. Oh.
So that's when I was 33 as a freelancer. So that's also possible. I mean, because SAP is a very hot skill.
Yeah, true. Agree. Yes. So yeah, so that's the good journey to have. So in fact, our participants can also learn from this journey. And if you are not the one who is able to land into that SAP journey, you can choose this path which Wouter just suggested, to go first, start ladder by ladder, and yes, step by step, and that's how you can climb the ladder. Cool. So out of this ends our third segment of this session. And the fourth is related to SAP product, which is the last segment. And here I would like to ask the questions which are related to, which are product specific, basically. So the first question is, what should be the first basic module if somebody is literally a newcomer and they want to start their journey? And they have this question like, should they go ahead with SAP HANA first, or SAP HANA Cloud, or SAP MM, or SAP SD? So they have they know that
and give me the access.
Okay, and these, they know these people are earning a lot, and they just want to run behind the money, and that is why they are confused, like which module they should start with, or they should start directly with SAP, let's say security or GRC. So what's your thought about it?
Well, for example, if you studied finance, then you should start with the FI module, which is the financial accounting module.
Okay.
And let's say that you study marketing and sales, then you start with sales, S/4HANA sales, SD.
Okay.
And let's say that you are studying purchasing, then you start with MM. So the core module for example, for MM is called materials management.
Okay.
Once you've done that one, then you can move to more advanced ones, like let's say EWM or RFID or transportation management, but you kind of start with the easier modules. So, for example, in finance, the easier ones are general ledger, and then now you have new general ledger, right? New GL, and then you have accounts payable, accounts receivable, general ledger. Those are the more normal ones. But then afterwards, you can specialize in COPA, which is now called margin analysis, or central finance, or product costing.
Okay.
So, for example, one of the hardest ones is product costing because it's integrated with all the other modules, like planned maintenance. But you begin. So if you go to that website, right, help.sap.com, then learning journeys, and then you type in, for example, finance. You begin with the normal one, which is financial accounting. So you begin with the normal process, and then you can specialize in something more difficult.
Okay, all right. So start with the basic ones, and then go ahead with the difficult ones, and with the ones in which you have some knowledge. Like finance, people should go ahead with finance-related modules. What if somebody have multiple domain knowledge? Sometimes they have knowledge into supply chain as well as into material management. How they can choose like which module they should go ahead with?
Yeah, you have to kind of see what you like the most. Like if you like factories, if you like to be in the factory, then you can choose, for example, production planning or plant maintenance. If you think, for example, let's say that you are really into cars and fixing motorcycles and cars and kind of technical stuff, then maybe something to do with warehouses and factories is more fun for you, where the production is taking place. But for example, I studied finance. So for me, finance was more interesting. And being in the office with a nice cappuccino and everything's clean and but
Yes.
because if you're going to be into plant maintenance, then they might send you to the potato plant or to the fish plant or to the whatever.
Basically.
Yeah, so if you are into production, if you like factories, if you like industrial things, making ships or boats or cars, if you think that's cool, then you can do, for example, manufacturing, supply chain management, materials management. So, for example, right now there's a lot of demand for transportation management, which is a new module in SAP, TM.
Okay.
Yeah. And EWM is very hot. WM, warehouse management.
Okay, so these are the new ones which people.
And you can also specialize in a certain industry. For example, you could specialize in the oil industry.
Someone tell me, did you hear about the app? It's gonna be.
All right. So thank you so much, Wouter, for all of the thoughts and everything. And with this, we are closing all our segments, and we do have some questions from our participants. And one of the question which we would like to take is, to start with SAP Brim, should I have knowledge of SAP FICO? So this is the question from Nana, and she wants the answer to this question.
Yeah, so SAP Brim, it's called SAP Brim is a solution for specific industries such as insurance or electricity. It is for companies which have millions of subscribers. IS Utilities is Brim. Then you have FICA, FICA, contract accounting, which is also Brim. So for, Brim is something very industry specific. And I don't think you actually need the normal FICO. You can actually become a Brim consultant and learn that and specialize in that without knowing normal FICO. Because, for example, there are people who are only focused on the insurance industry with Brim,
Yes. Hmm.
ISU, IS Insurance, IS Utilities. So you can specialize in that. But of course, it's good to know normal FICO, but in the end, you need to know all the transactions related to Brim.
Yeah. 1 second. Okay. Cool. Yes. Okay. So that means there is no need to get into the FICO domain. If you want to start with Brim, you can start, from the Brim itself. Not like SAP HANA or these modules knowledge is not required. Is it right?
Yeah, Brim is really a specialist area. So I worked on one Brim project with a company called Flora Holland.
Okay.
So they had these flower auctions, and then the systems from the flowers being sold went into the Brim. So it's a very specific thing. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, thank you so much, Wouter, for these answers. Some of our participants are raising their hands. I know it's above time. So can we take 1 or 2 questions from them? And
yeah, sure. Yeah.
okay, sure. So Shrikant, okay, yes, this Narayana Mahadevan wants to have raised his hand. So Narayana, I'm unmuting you, so you can ask the question.
Thank you, Pooja. Hello, Woulter.
Hello.
So, my question to you is that I am an ECC certified consultant. Like you mentioned before, that people who are freshers, they do not get much of an opportunity to work into a company. So I am a fresher, so I have been trying to join some company, but I am unable to secure a job. So you have any advice? So I'm looking for an internship also, and I think I have going to secure one. So is it good for me to go for this internship and then I can look for a job? Is it fine? Since I'm certified, do I need to look for a job or something?
Yeah, I think it's always good to do an internship. And if you find someone that's willing to teach you things, then that knowledge is very valuable. I think that all the people that are certified in ECC is very good that you already did the ECC. But right now, it's really necessary to get certified in S/4HANA. Because already since 2016, the S/4HANA projects are there. But one way of, well, let me tell you one way that I managed to become an SAP consultant. That in the Netherlands, if you look at the map of the Netherlands, everybody wants to work in Amsterdam because Amsterdam is really cool and famous. But there's also jobs in like Groningen, far away from Amsterdam, or all the way down south in Maastricht, or all the way in Zeeland, like these far away places where people don't really want to go as much. But if you really want to become an SAP consultant, maybe you should do the work in the places where nobody else wants to go. Or maybe you should accept working at night in the night shift. Or you should accept working for very little money or even for free. And this sounds really annoying, right? Like you also want to work in Bangalore or Pune or Mumbai, but maybe there's also some work in some faraway place where nobody wants to go, or maybe in some industry that's not as attractive. Like a lot of people want to work for Nike or BMW or Mercedes, but maybe you can also work for the local sewage
smaller companies
company that cleans sewage, and it's not so cool, but it's
you must
easier
not
to get a
take any
job.
kind of prestige in that. So you must be ready to work in anywhere they tell. That's what you're trying to say, isn't it? Any place,
Well, if you
anywhere.
really want something, you really have to go for it. So, for example, me, I worked in 15 countries. So I traveled all over the world. and often I didn't see my friends for I did one project in South Carolina. I didn't go home for 10 months. So it sounds crazy, right? Not to see your family and your friends or even your children,
Nearest and dearest ones.
but the results can be very good as well. You know, if you make the effort to accept, if you accept the things which are less fun, like the not so famous company or the small kind of unknown company, then you can, that's a way to kind of get your first jobs, to try to work for a company which isn't the top 10 company in the world, but to work for a smaller one.
Mhm.
But internship is a very good idea. I also did 2 internships when I was a student, and then I didn't get paid hardly any. I hardly got paid anything. Yeah,
So
but it
this
was worth it
reminds,
in the end.
yeah, this reminds me of a line in Hindi. It's like it's called as "कुछ खोने कुछ पाने के लिए कुछ खोना पड़ता है." So
Sahi,
to
ma'am.
gain something, you need to lose something. So yes, it literally fits this scenario. So
Yeah, and another thing that I haven't mentioned yet
yeah.
is that I spent a lot of time and effort learning languages. So I was born only speaking Dutch, and then I learned how to speak French, and how to speak English, and how to speak Spanish. And it took me a lot of effort to learn French, how to write in French or how to write in Spanish. But then afterwards, companies were looking for someone with finance and FICO, but also speaking French.
Yes.
So many of my jobs, I got them because I spoke French, not because I knew something about SAP, but they want someone who can also speak French.
Oh,
And
that-
right now as well, for example, I'm learning Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Punjabi.
oh, you
Do
And
you
then,
know anything in Tamil, sir? I'm
yeah,
a Tamilian
Wanakam,
only.
Yipidiri Kinge,
Oh, nice.
Nalai
I
Kinge,
cannot.
That's nice.
Nanba.
All right. So so we are taking one more question and then we will
Yeah.
be wrapping up this session. So the question, okay, I'm giving this chance to Bhagyashri. Hey Bhagyashri, are you there? You can unmute yourself and you can ask your question. Are you here?
Yeah. Hello, Pooja. Hello,
Hi.
Wouter.
Hi.
Hi. Actually, I'm completed my BCom, but I have 3-4 years experience. So within a gap, means after 3 years, I'm interested for SAP. Okay. So which will be suitable for me? Can you please
So
advise?
Yeah. Like, what was your major when you were studying? Business administration, or
no, it's
No,
bachelor's in
bachelor
commerce.
in commerce.
is that more like sales or?
No, it's accounting.
It's a accounting, finance.
Yeah, well, if you studied finance, then you can do the same thing that I do, which is financial accounting consultant. So FI. So it's
Okay,
called
okay.
S for HANA Finance. Yeah.
Okay. So is it FICO suitable, sir?
Yeah, that is the same thing. So in the
Okay.
past, it was called FICO.
Okay.
Like 5 years ago, it was called
Okay.
FICO, which is finance controlling. But
Controlling,
now it
yeah.
is called S for HANA Finance and
Okay.
S for HANA Management Accounting.
Okay. So after this, can I get some opportunities, sir, as a fresher?
Yeah. I mean, everywhere they're looking for finance consultants because every system has SAP Finance.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can start like with accounts payable or accounts receivable, asset
Okay.
accounting.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Bhagyashri,
So before starting the course, shall I do some extra courses, or else shall I enter in this?
Okay, Bhagishri, this is not the right platform. This is just to give you the like related to course. You should ask the respected respective institute where you are looking forward to take this course, and yes.
Okay, okay,
And I would rather suggest you, like Wouter suggested, that right now cloud is in demand, HANA is in demand comparatively.
okay. Yeah.
You should choose, this combination FICO along with the cloud with HANA. So that should be your call to action.
Yeah, S/4HANA Finance Cloud. That's the latest thing.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Water and Pooja,
Thank
for
you.
this opportunity.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
you're
Bhagesh.
welcome.
Thank
Hello,
you.
Pooja. Hello,
Yes.
Shrikant here.
Yes,
So,
Shrikant.
yeah, I just want to ask one question to Walter.
Okay, so this would be last question because
Yes, yeah,
he also have some other schedules.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah,
First
yeah.
of all, I would like to thank you, Henry Harvin, for arranging this call with Walters. And Walters, I'm the big fan of you, and I'm from one of your LinkedIn family.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
And
nice. Yeah.
yeah, I know like about your like love about India and Indian peoples. And I also dropped you a message on WhatsApp regarding the S/4HANA cells opening in Netherlands. You posted that in the LinkedIn feed, right? In last month.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
So Walter, I just like connect with John, who written the books SAP Certification Guide for Sales, and he suggests me to have this additional certification in EWM for my careers, and I just want to know about how EWM will help me to grow my career, as I'm having the sales and distribution 6 year experience in one of the MNC company in India. So can you please guide me on that? How it will
Yeah,
like?
so I know you mean John Simmons, right? John Simmons.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, so he
I'm
wrote
in
that book
continue touch
about
with him.
S/4HANA certification in sales, right? Yeah. Well, EWM is a very high in demand skill right now. So not many people know that one. So SD, there's many people that know sales SD, but like EWM is like a niche skill that not many people have. Like EWM, transport management, transportation management. Those are very rare skills. Also, plant maintenance. Everything to do with production is much more rare than not production. But it's yeah. So I think first you do the basic module, right? Like MM, SD, FI, CO,
Yeah,
HR, and then you specialize in a niche.
yeah, I'm having the 6 year experience in the sales and distribution.
Well, that's good. That's good. But it's always good to learn like something that other people don't know.
Yes, and that's what suggested by John to go with the EWM certifications and learning the EWM.
Yeah, and if you really want to work in the Netherlands, then you can start learning Dutch, which is the language of the Netherlands, because
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
another thing.
that's
So
probably
just
my
like I
next.
learned French and Spanish, so I worked in France and Spain.
Yeah, surely I will looking forward the Dutch, learning the Dutch language. Yeah.
That's a
Yeah, it's
good.
pretty difficult one. Yeah.
Correct. And but a good call to action, literally. So, all right, with this, we are wrapping up the session. And thank you so much
Just
for.
wanted to add one thing. Woulter, I forgot to mention that I'm also a follower of you in LinkedIn. I've been following and liking all your posts. So know that you like about India and hope we shall meet ourselves in India in future maybe. So thank you Pooja and Henry Evan for giving this opportunity to talk with such a huge personality. So this is I'm signing off. Thank you.
Yeah, and I can
Yeah, thank
say
you.
the Walter is the real SAP guru.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
is.
thank you so
He is.
much. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. And thank you so much, Wouter. We really appreciate your time, your efforts for being with us. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Yeah,
everyone.
thank you so much. Yeah, and I didn't actually realize it was gonna be live. That was interesting. I thought it was just
Thank
gonna
you.
be a recording, but that's pretty
Thank
cool.
you.
Yeah, and thanks for inviting me on your program.
Thanks to you, Wouter.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Wouter.
and Veer Melinge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Film
yes,
link.
फिर मिलेंगे.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye
Thank you,
bye. Thank
Woulter.
you.
Bye bye.